Okay, a recap of the journey so far. A quick flight to Barbados and a few days there where we did quite a lot of things, including going to the races and watching the horses paddling in the sea. It's their special treat. One of the horses brought along its emotional support sheep, who did not kick off when they were separated. We also hired a see-through kayak to watch fish swimming over wrecks in the bay. Then we boarded the HMS Blinktastic, real name MSC Virtuosa, for a leisurely cruise around the Caribbean, visiting St. Vincent and the Grenadines, plus Grenada, where I went swimming under a waterfall. Next it was Martinique, then Guadeloupe to do a Death in Paradise locations tour. We stopped at the police station and solved some crimes, met up with Harry the Lizard in town, and then had a drink in Catherine's bar. The last stop was St. Martin to watch silly people competing in the Darwin Awards. Then it was 5 days on the Virtuosa, taking us across the Atlantic back to European soil in the shape of the Portuguese Azores.
So, after 5 days, it's land ahoy. This is the Azores. Unfortunately, it's a bit sort of rainy this morning so far, but hopefully it's going to clear up.
First stop on the coach tour was some botanic gardens. Very nice, I'm sure, but it tipped down the entire visit.
Oh, hello, duckies. They can't go fast. Looking very bedraggled, one might say. Mum's a bit manic, isn't she? That one's left behind.
Do ducks like the rain? Inquiring minds want to know. Next stop was a pineapple growers. The islands were a huge supplier to Europe right up to the start of the First War. This variety takes 2 years to grow, and they are mainly found in the local shops, and they're exported to areas with large Portuguese communities in the US and Canada.
Stage 1, baby pineapple plants. Next stage, slightly bigger pineapple plants. Quite a variety of sizes. There's a big bugger there. That's a smaller one. Because they're grown indoors and it's quite labour intensive, they're quite expensive apparently.
Last stop on the coach trip was Crater Lakes. This is what it looks like on a clear day. Unfortunately, the day we were there...
That's the Caldera. It's a bit like the time we went to the Grand Canyon, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, but then by the end it did clear.
I'm going to get the feeling that it probably isn't going to clean up. That's meant to be a 5-star hotel. The tour guide said this was their 5-star hotel. It might have been once, but it's not looking at its best.
The 5-star Monte Palace Hotel was built on the crater rim in the 1990s. Unfortunately, it didn't make sense or money, so closed a few years later and remains in a state of decay. So it's back to Ponta Delgada for a look around the town.
And having come down from the volcano, sunny, warm, not raining, completely different. For some reason it's twinned with Massachusetts. What have they used this for? Oh, yes, they've used this for a library as well. Trying to work out why there's one red and one blue. Both emptied at 2 o'clock. National and international, it says on both of them. I guess you pick the colour you like the best. So for me it would need to be sparkly purple one. It is High Street anywhere.
Then back on the boat for another 2 sea days heading towards Lisbon, Portugal. The Atlantic Ocean, day 7. Slightly rocky this morning, but it's beautiful sunshine, so I intend coming back here after the quiz results and sitting on the balcony reading my book. We've been to Lisbon before, so this time we went on the excursion to Sintra, a UNESCO World Heritage Site for landscape and an overabundance of castles. The one we went to was the royal family's summer palace.
And this is the town of Sintra. Apparently we've got about 150 palaces or something like that. One of the 400 palaces right at the top there. So this is a model of what it looks like. Largest room of the palace apparently, so our guide says. Seem to have an obsession with swans. They are the kitchen chimneys, we're led to believe. Is it me, or does that fountain thing look like a... I think that's going to be Moorish architecture. Apparently this is the King of Portugal's bed, but we think he actually stole it from the Pope. So they used to have two of these brass globes. Now this one shows all the constellations, but clearly back in the 1500s they knew the Earth was a globe. That's going to hack the flat earthers off somewhat. No, I mean, is that going to be kitchen garden?
No. Decorative garden.
Not quite sure what they use this room for. Some sort of chapel maybe? This is where the Queens of Portugal apparently gave birth.
These are all those birds that have been represented.
These are the kitchens, and these are the chimneys. We're actually wondering how effective these chimneys are. I assume that they must have been, but for all the people doing the cooking, you'd have thought they would just get smoked out, and it might have gone up the chimney if you're lucky. Who knows? We've only got 45 minutes, but the thing is, we've actually been to Lisbon before, and we saw all the other monuments on a lovely day. Over there is a monument to Portuguese explorers and sailors, and it's chucking it down now, so I think we're going to go back to the bus.
Next stop was A Coruña in northern Spain.
I see no ships. It's Good Friday, and instead of being on board, we're having a walk around Galicia. Now what this is the Pilgrim's Way. The Pilgrim's Ways go from France and other places all the way along to Santiago de Compostela, which is the sort of pilgrimage place. So we're walking the Pilgrim's Way, and it's pretty gosh darn damp. This Pilgrim's Way is a good few hundred miles if you walk it from Paris to Santiago. And now what people tend to do to walk the whole thing is they have a couple of weeks holiday a year which they spend walking, and each year they start from the place they finished, so they eventually get there in the end. Now there's lots of refuges along the way and points where you can stamp your card, and I believe there's some sort of prize from the Roman Catholic Church at the end of it if you've completed a lot. I don't know what the prize is, although I think my prize is going to be some food at the end of this. They've given us a sandwich which I'll eat later on.
Along the route you see many of these direction posts with an arrow and a seashell motif.
The seashell symbols actually got a meaning. It's not so much about seashells, but the blades of it, the lines of the seashell are basically people coming together from all sorts of distances and points and converging into one on the way to Santiago de Compostela. Bit of a photo op. Don't know why the shells are there. You're going to get wet anyway, whatever you do, aren't you? So apparently this time of the year, 80% of the days get some rain in Galicia. All the lines coming together and pointing in the direction doesn't quite work sometimes. You've got to follow the yellow arrows. And you've encountered another obstacle. No point trying to avoid the water because wet already. Can't be too precious about it. Nope, no idea. Obviously these are laid in remembrance of people as they passed along the way. And this is one of the refuges. Very handy stop, I'm going to guess. Oh, you can do it on a mountain bike as well. No, that's a much better idea. This stuff's fun to walk on. I do believe the rain's getting just that little bit lighter. Apparently we're just over halfway, so we've got a little while to go. Now in the sun, all this wisteria would be lovely. Looking a bit bedraggled in this weather though. I don't think it's possible to get lost because it's so well signposted. Apart from the upside down seashells, of course. And that's the coach. So we've done our 4K of the Pilgrim's Way and it's just starting to ease off the rain. I don't think the coach driver's going to be too happy when he sees all this amount of water and mud traipse through his nice clean coach. Won't be sad to get this coat off though. Do I feel like a pilgrim? Well, maybe just slightly. I've suffered a bit. Well, got wet and muddy, not the same thing. So just as we get to Santiago de Compostela itself, it stops raining. Now this is the main square. This is what everyone's come to see. The cathedral. This is where you end your pilgrimage. There's lots of people taking selfies. We might be having a rethink on this going in. We've got 1 hour and this is the queue. It's sort of moving, I guess, but yeah, it's quite large. Bagpipes are a thing here apparently. No idea why. And it's back to the main square. Yep, the bagpipes are as much a mystery to me as to you. Gosh, I found a quiet place. Now these balconies, we saw a lot of them in Malta, but the reason they have them here in Galicia is because it's got 3 times the rainfall of London and 80% of the days in the winter have rain. And the idea of the balconies is it gives them a bit of outside space and light, and they don't have the problem of all the weather. I think this lot have just finished their Camino. So this is our last sea day. Last night we came across the Bay of Biscay and it was actually just fine, we didn't really notice. This morning, this is off Cap Finisterre. We going to be landing in Le Havre tomorrow for a day, and then it's a quick jaunt across the channel home to Southampton. Although it's lovely on our balcony, it's a little bit drafty at the back end of the ship, so we didn't go outside for breakfast today. And this is what's left of my go walks after little jolly down the Camino de Santiago yesterday. They're drying quite well. I think they're shoving the washing machine or something. It'll be fine.
Le Havre was bombed heavily in World War II. It was rebuilt very rapidly and is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's lovely if you like a whole town of brutalist concrete, but I'm not a fan. If your cruise ship docks here, my advice is to either stay on the ship or take an excursion to somewhere else. We went to the very pretty town of Honfleur, just the other side of the River Seine.
So this is Honfleur, which is a heck of a lot nicer than Le Havre. They filmed Harry Potter here, couldn't they?
Not Tuesday to Sunday. Closed Monday.
Oh, well, it makes sense to someone somewhere, I guess.
They are lovely buildings, aren't they?
C'est une rue pas très grande, avec 3 fleurs et 2 oiseaux. Qui vendent la pointe notamment des cacahuètes et du Bordeaux. Il y a un mec sur un banc qui s'est fait larguer par la nuit. Ça ne vous étonne pas vraiment.
In recent years, Le Havre has become a major manufacturing site for wind turbines. The facility runs alongside the ports for literally miles. At this end, it's the blades ready for taking out to sea, and further down are manufacturing sites for all of the components. It's our last night on board, and in just a few short hours we will be in Southampton.